Happy Halloween, everybody. Today's video is going to be a little bit different. We're not doing a custom fighter review today, but instead a custom set review. Yes, the awesome team over at Indie RPG Unmatched group put together what they are calling the Spooky Scramble. This Spooky Scramble has not only 16 total fighters, yes, you heard that right, 16 total fighters, but also 2 maps. It is absolutely fantastic. You need to check this set out. There will be links for everything in the description, as well as links to all the creators as well. Guys, go check it out. It is absolutely fantastic. So yeah, let's get right into it. If you guys are not familiar with the Spooky Scramble, ever since October 1st of this year, they have been slowly releasing teasers, and they were ever so nice to give me some early access to actually check out the decks. So there are 3 that will be upcoming with their own dedicated fighter reviews, and then I'll probably be doing more in the future, as well as an honorary mention today. But I didn't want to leave any of them out, so we're going to do a quick preview of all of the decks, and let's get right into that, starting with Dr. Zomboss by Stars. And this one is absolutely fantastic, guys. This one is from the Plants vs. Zombies. I believe this is like one of the final bosses from that game. And it's a large fighter with reach. If you're unfamiliar with that reach icon there, that is kind of like what the T-Rex and Miss Marvel have, where they can kind of be melee fighters, but they can reach from 2 spaces away. And I love the terminology they have there, where it's, you know, it's melee with a little extra reach. And here are some of the cards for that deck. You can pause and check those out. Then next here is Zsolt by Gauss. Guys, I love the way that the artwork turned out on this card. A little bit hard to read for some of us, but I think it's awesome how out there they went with the artwork on this one. And you can see this one's very interesting. It says when Zsolt attacks, you may discard 1 card. If you do, after combat Frenzy, a number of times equal to the boost value of the discarded card. To show you there, Frenzy is this card here. It's a 1 attack. So if I understand that correctly, basically, after a combat, you can discard a card to kind of get, you know, up to 3 or 4, you know, depending on the boost value of extra attacks, just kind of a couple extra jabs in there. And there are a few cards in this deck that add also some effects onto that Frenzy card. And up next after that, we have the Flying Dutchman, a ranged large fighter, the big ghostly ship. And we also have 4 melee ghosts that go with this deck. And one of my absolute favorite parts about this deck is the art. It is just absolutely gorgeous. These greens and dark blues and whites, just everything looks absolutely gorgeous, guys. Here's a couple of those artworks there. Another great deck to check out, and this one is by Glare. And then moving on next, we have Hollow Knight here by Dumb Joke. Another great deck here. Another large fighter with 27 health, but only a move of 1. So it's kind of similar to the T-Rex there. But what's cool about this guy is that whenever he boosts or blind boosts, he may instead deal damage to himself to actually choose what boost value he has. Very cool and interesting deck. We're definitely going to have to check out in the future. After that, we have John Ward here by Qualiaautomata. And this deck, guys, I don't even know what this is from, but I am in love with this deck. It's definitely a deck that's going to be coming out soon on our channel here. We have to do a full review. I mean, check out this card back. Check out that hero card. It just looks awesome. The kind of retro Atari style art. But one thing that's really cool about this guy is that he's a melee fighter, but he has these yellow prayer cards. And for every prayer card that he's played or that's in his discard pile, he actually gets to extend his range. So he kind of starts from just a melee fighter that can only attack adjacent to a ranged fighter to kind of a bullseye or even better than bullseye character. Very cool. Jumping into the fight here, we have Beetlejuice by Sairento. This one's very cool. One thing I love to point out here on this one is that Beetlejuice here is actually from the musical, not from the movies. So you can see it reflected in the art here. But what's cool about him is that it's very thematic to both the movie and the musical here, where if you say his name 3 times, he gets to just appear out of nowhere. So when saying his name here on the card, you'll see the actual custom art where you can see that the Beetlejuice is actually highlighted, so you know whenever it's been said, and you can flip one of those tokens. And from what I've seen, they did a little test run with him that whenever the 3rd Beetlejuice is said, it happens instantly. So it can actually happen in between actions of being like after immediately, but before the during combat. So very cool. And then everybody absolutely loved this one whenever I show it to them. They took the closer than she appears, and now it's closer than he appears with Beetlejuice breaking down that S. Very cool. Then up next we have Monica here by Sawerux. This one is also very cool. The artwork goes so hard in this deck. I'm not super familiar with this game. I do believe that it's kind of like a fun anime style like dating simulator or something like that, like in a school, but then it becomes very dark and meta, and I feel like the deck definitely captures that feeling. Even as someone who's not played the game, I definitely get the feeling just by looking at the art and reading the cards on this deck. Coming up next, we have Ashley from WarioWare. Kind of a deep cut on this one. Definitely love the versatility in this entire set, where we have some well-known spooky like Halloween characters and just some like Halloween themed characters like Ashley here from WarioWare. Definitely a deep cut for me. Very, very cool. This one, she kind of stops, like changes in between going from the girl next door to becoming the witch. Kind of like other cards we've seen where there's abilities that you can only use when she's the witch and then whenever she's not. And I do like this card here that actually hurts her if she's the witch. So sometimes it's better to switch back to the girl next door. Very cool. Then next up, one that I'm actually not familiar with at all. I definitely need to research this one. This one is called the Bloodless. The art on these cards also goes very hard. I can't stress enough how awesome these are. And this deck has a cool mechanic where you are constantly like gathering blood and using it for different things. As you can see here, whenever a fighter is adjacent to Bloodless and takes damage, they gain 1 blood. And then you can have a maximum of 3 blood here, it says, and you may also spend 2 blood to boost your card. So all the cards have some type of interaction with these blood tokens. So very, very cool. Kind of a resource management type of deck here. Very cool. Love the art, and definitely one I'm gonna have to like look into more and figure out like where this comes from and like why it's so cool. After that, next we have the Monster Under Your Bed, and this one is by Faye. Another great deck that we are getting from this scramble. It's so cool that this one is like not even a specific character, but just the generic monster that's under your bed. It takes many forms in this deck, and you'll see just by all these different artwork cards that it's not any specific monster, but just the ominous force that is lurking beneath your bed. After that, we have Kuchisake-onna by Dreamcarver here. Another very, very cool mechanic. Once again, I mean, do I even have to say it? The artwork on every single one of these decks is absolutely fantastic. Every time I look at these decks again, I just am so dumbfounded by how well all the artwork on all of these decks came out. This one is very, very cool as well. This one, you get to like play your card face up, and your opponent gets to make a decision whether you're pretty and you resolve your effects twice, or if you're ugly and you add +2 to the value of your cards. It definitely makes a very, very interesting play because your opponent gets to make the choice, but you know, the whole point is you're putting them in a sticky situation where both options are very bad for them. Very cool. And then the last deck here before we get to my top 3 and the honorary mention, we have Turbo Granny. This is another one that I just absolutely am like, I have to add this to my collection as soon as possible. I later found out that this is, I believe, from Dandadan, or it's been featured in Dandadan, but it's kind of a folklore character. Just this old lady that can run as fast as freaking possible. All of her cards have her just going like bonkers speed and like moving around the map. Seems like she's kind of a blur, jump scaring you and just attacking you from every angle. Very, very cool deck, and I love how the artwork turned out. Love the colors that they chose for this deck. But yeah, before we move on to my top 3 and that honorary mention I was talking about, I also do want to check out the maps. So both these maps here are made by Jowee, and they have the Freddy Fazbear's Fright. This one is from Five Nights at Freddy's, and then we also have the Nether here from Minecraft. So you also have some options to play with these characters on these maps. Very, very cool, guys. This scramble is absolutely fantastic. You need to check this scramble out. Once again, there are links and descriptions for everything, so go check them out, guys. Now let's get into my top 3. As some might know, it does take me quite a while to get these decks printed and get the health dials and tokens and miniatures. So I don't have all the pieces quite yet for these decks, but I said I will be making full fighter review videos for all of these decks. So I do want to give you a quick preview of what some of these look like in person, starting with first the Kraken here, and this one is by Stars. I absolutely love how this deck turned out. It is so cool. The Kraken, to give you kind of a quick synopsis here, is a reach fighter, as we saw before some of the other fighters, with 15 health, and then he has the tentacles here that are all melee with 3 of them, and then a move of 2. And this says the Kraken may attack opposing fighters adjacent to tentacles. The Kraken is a large fighter. So it's kind of cool. It's actually, to me, it feels like one fighter with multiple pieces on the board. You have the main Kraken piece, which is like the head, and that takes up 2 spaces. And then the tentacles that all take up 1 space. And actually, I do have the tentacle pieces I can show you here. This is what I ended up choosing. They had some 3D ones that they have in the TTS version. And then here's what the mini is going to look like whenever that fully comes in. And then also this is the health dial that I ended up making for the Kraken. As I said, this one is not like the one that they provide. It was not uploaded at the time that I had access to the files, so you can also check out the one that they made. But what's cool about the Kraken here is that the Kraken takes up 2 spaces with that head, and then 3 spaces, or actually, yeah, 3 spaces with the tentacles. But it's literally like the Kraken is reaching under the water and coming up through another space. And a lot of these cards actually give you bonuses for not the same as Zone, as your opponent. So it's actually kind of emphasizes you to kind of keep the head away from everybody and then surround them with the tentacles. So I wanted to check out this card here. And this is Horrors of the Sea for the Kraken, a 6 attack with 1 boost, 2 copies. And this says, this card's effects cannot be canceled. During combat, decrease this card's value by the number of other fighters in the Kraken zone. So once again, the Kraken can attack through the tentacles. So you want to kind of use this card by having the Kraken way far away from everybody and then come up with that tentacle and just absolutely demolish them, because there'll be 0 people around, or 0 fighters around the Kraken there. But yeah, this is the Kraken, and we can move on to our next deck. Then coming up in my personal number 2 spot, we have Geff here. Another folklore character, one that I really need to look into because it's very, very cool. I'm glad that this deck turned me on to this awesome folklore character. Basically, it's a talking mongoose from what I've seen. And he just kind of goes crazy, and I believe he talks to the walls and such. Once again, don't quote me on any of this because I need to really research it more. And I'll hopefully know a lot more whenever I do a full fighter deck review on this guy. But I also have the health dial here. Once again, not the finished final one that they're going to provide, but the one that I made for myself, and I did not have the files just yet. You can place that out there. But we can take a quick look at him. He's a melee fighter with 14 health and 2 move, and it says, when you take a maneuver action and boost it, you may place Geff in any space in his zone before moving. Basically just emphasizes that Geff can move like crazy. He's squirrely, he's constantly running around the map, and a little bit hard to nail down. The card that I wanted to check out in his deck here is called the 8th Wonder, a 4 attack for Geff with 3 boost and only 1 copy, and you'll see why in a second here. It says, during combat, if Geff shares no zones with the space he started in this turn, this card's value is 8 instead. I love how the artwork turned out, and it's basically him running up to you real fast and just attacking you with a big old 8 card. And we can take a quick look at some of the artworks on here. I love how they turned out. There's a hoax card from Bigfoot. Yeah. This light yellow with the dark brown background, I think turned out so well. The art is just fantastic on all of these Scramble decks. But yeah, now let's take a look at my number 1 pick from the Scramble. Now, not everybody may be familiar with this deck. This one is the Janitor. This is a Nicolas Cage movie called Willy's Wonderland. To me, this is such a deep cut. I love this movie. I end up watching it just about every Halloween. I'm going to be watching it tonight if anybody's gonna follow along with me. And this one here is by Jowee. Those familiar with Jowee will not be surprised. He went all out with the artwork on this. I mean, it's just gorgeous. This is all taped up, which is thematic to the actual movie. Then we have the Janitor's broom there for the melee, as well as a little knife popping out there. And he even did the back side of the cards. And then if we take a quick skim through the deck here, I mean, you can see it is popping out everywhere. Big old punch for the title of that one. There's him cleaning the walls. And I said all of this is super, super deep cuts for this movie. You can tell that Jowee is a fan of this movie, because as an also big fan of this movie, I feel like he hit every single point. There's a couple of lines from the movie that I wish he would have included in the deck, but maybe I'll send him a message and see if he can make a custom card for me. But yeah, the one I wanted to check out here is Pinball Machine. This is a 3 defense for the Janitor, 3 boost, and 3 copies. A little bit hard to see under that pinball paddle there. This is Pinball Machine. After combat, move any fighter exactly 2 spaces, then move each fighter adjacent to them exactly 2 spaces, which super thematic to a pinball machine. You're bouncing them like the ball and bouncing them off of someone else, and then those guys ricochet off. Very, very cool deck. Please go down to the description, click on these links, and check out this deck for yourself. I don't want to spoil too much of it. As I said, there will be a full review coming out hopefully soon whenever I get the miniature. Here's what that miniature looks like. Oh, and I also forgot, this is what the Geff miniature looks like. I forgot to add that in the last section. But yeah, as you can see, I am a huge, huge fan of this deck and how it turned out, and just the character and movie that it's based on. So definitely my number 1 pick from the Scramble this year. And then I also wanted to show I have the health dial here, and this one actually is the official one that Jowee provided, except for the 0 icon on this one. I made it the crushed can, which those who have seen the movie will know why I put that there. And then I also have the sidekick Liv Hawkthorne's health dial here as well. You can take a look at the back. And then lastly, I also have the token for Liv. Came a little bit darker than I hoped for, but I'm not complaining. But yeah, now I got one more honorary mention we can take a look at. And for our honorary mention, we have Moose. Yes, this is not from anything. It is just a plain old moose here. And the reason why it's an honorary mention is because Apparently, it wasn't included in the Scramble to begin with. This was a bonus for reaching 100 followers on their Discord channel, I believe. But it is an absolutely fantastic deck. This is another large fighter. As you can tell, a lot of large fighters from this Scramble. But with how the Moose works here is that he takes up 2 spaces just like any other large fighter, but he can't turn around. So you have to be constantly moving forward, and he gets a bonus of a +2 attack if he is facing like his big old horns towards you, or his big old antlers, I should say. So it's very, very cool take on a large fighter, and I absolutely love how this one turned out as well. All custom art. I believe he said it's actually a 3D model, so I believe some of this is actually 3D generated art for it. But yeah, once again, I don't want to read through any of these and spoil it for you. I want you to go check out their channel, go check out all the links that they've provided, and check out this deck for yourself. You will not be disappointed in this one, or frankly, any from the Scramble. They absolutely knocked it out of the park, and this is another one that is actually the official one that they released. I did change the zero to a little moose track. I've been very obsessed with doing custom zeros. And then on the back here, I want to point out, there is Glaire's Discord chat that says, no, we're not doing a moose. And to give you a little bit of context, I believe Glaire actually spearheads this project and keeps everybody in line. It looks like he suggested to do the moose, and they said no. And then as the bonus, everybody loved the moose. So I had to keep that custom back on there just to give a little bit of lore to the moose. But yeah, let's take a look at my final thoughts here. So as you can tell, I am just absolutely hyped up for this project. They actually, I believe the same team did another Scramble from last year, the Winter Scramble. So go and check out the Winter Scramble as well. But for this year, for Halloween, check out the Spooky Scramble. Go give them some love. Go upvote all their posts and just show them that we love what they're doing, and they are doing fantastic work. We're super, super appreciative. I believe in the Discord channel, they also said that they've been working on this Scramble since January. So a whole basically year of work has gone into this. Here is all of the people that have worked on this project. Guys, go give them love. These guys are amazing. I'm so happy to be part of a community where people like this are so passionate and make just fantastic add-ons for a game that we already love. Now, I gotta go. My toast is burning.